Hi, my name is Ashley White, and I am the chairwoman of the Berrien County GOP, and I am making this video to provide the actual true facts relating to our upcoming May 9th event in order to address false information being posted on social media. So, grab your popcorn and buckle up. First, let's discuss why this event matters. In the Whitmer kidnapping case, it has been reported that the FBI acted in a way to attract and then entrap private citizens who opposed her policies. Do you remember Whitmer's illegal lockdowns? We remember that liquor stores were open while churches were closed. We remember the labored breathing of our children while they were forcibly masked over the protests of parents. We remember these events and are left to wonder if the FBI activity was intended to change the anti-Whitmer narrative by discrediting those of us who were protesting for freedom. At our event, we'll also have speakers who were in Washington on January 6th. Have you ever wondered why the media and the Democrats refer to January 6th as a insurrection? Do you think it's a coincidence that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution prohibits any person that has engaged in, yes, you guessed it, an insurrection from becoming president? In fact, the Colorado Supreme Court ruled that President Trump was ineligible to be on the ballot as a presidential candidate in Colorado because he was part of an insurrection. Fortunately, the ruling was overturned by the Supreme Court of the United States. The Supreme Court of the United States decision put a stop to attempt to keep President Trump off the ballot, which led to his landslide victory. But we must not close our eyes to what happened. We should not fail to recognize that the labeling of January 6th as an insurrection was no coincidence. That term was chosen specifically to prevent him from becoming our 47th president. Looking further back over the last 8 years, we can see the depths that the Democrats will go to retain power. From the illegal FISA warrants that allowed the FBI to spy on the Trump campaign to the fake Russian dossier, time and time again, Democrats and their deep state allies continue their attempts at the actual insurrection. Remember the vote totals on the night of November 3rd, 2020? President Trump was leading until the swing states stopped counting. And like magic, just enough absentee ballots showed up overnight to reverse the result. Recall that COVID was used as the excuse for state legislatures to relax the very absentee voting laws that opened the floodgates for the mysterious midnight vote total reversals. And most recently, the Doge team has found that more than 2 million Social Security numbers were given out to illegal migrants in 2024 alone. Why do you think the Biden administration did this? Could it be that they wanted 2 million new Democrat voters? Suffice to say that when we look back, we see an ongoing effort to subvert the will of the people in an all-out attempt to create a one-party rule over the country. This, my friends, is the real insurrection. Our keynote speaker for the May 9th event is Ryan Kelly, former gubernatorial candidate in the state of Michigan. And according to the reports, Ryan did not enter the Capitol building on January 6th, but did plead guilty to a misdemeanor count of entering and remaining on restricted grounds. Even so, we believe the story is much, much deeper than the headlines want us to believe. We believe that Mr. Kelly can provide his personal perspective on what really happened and address questions. Was his prosecution politically motivated? What were the conditions of his confinement? And did the punishment fit the crime? Because the events of January 6th were so politicized, it is important that we hear directly from individuals who went through it, who experienced it, and who ultimately paid the price for their actions. With that as a backdrop, the Berrien County GOP have our sights set on November 2026. We have open seats for governor, attorney general, secretary of state, U.S. senator, and majorities in the Senate and the House. With these victories, we hope to see a restoration for the protection of women's and girls by reversing Democrat laws recently passed in Michigan, allowing men in women's bathrooms and allowing men to play in women's sports. We hope to see protection for homeowners by providing relief from ever-rising and unaffordable property taxes. And we hope that parents will finally be free to use their own tax dollars to send their children to the school that they choose. To turn hope into reality requires winning elections. and winning elections requires funding. Ultimately, the May 9th event serves as a fundraiser to help Republicans win elections so that we can deliver on our commitments to restore women's rights, homeowners' rights, and parental rights. In spite of what is being touted on social media, the outrage is nothing more than political gamesmanship. Let's remember, every speaker at our event has either been acquitted by a court or pardoned by the president. And in the case of Mr. Kelly, he served a sentence. So whether or not you believe our guests should be able to share their side of the story, it is very important to recognize that no one is required to attend this event. This event is being held in a private venue and by a private organization. Do we as Americans want to get into the business of canceling the speech rights of private citizens and the assembly rights of private organizations? The Berrien County GOP believes that in America we can openly disagree, but that we must all agree that we will defend the rights of those that we disagree with, else we will all lose our rights. That said, if you're watching this, it's because you are aware of the controversies surrounding the venue for our May 9th event. There are false claims being made on social media, the news media, and in press release provided by the venue that I personally misled the venue with respect to the nature of this event. I am making this video to provide the truth, and the truth is I never deceived anyone or misrepresented this event to the venue. I would like to share with you the actual true facts and timeline of events so that you can make your own judgments. On March 5th, I reached out via text to the venue event coordinator. I had her number because this would be the third event for the Berrien County GOP at this venue. I personally had worked with the venue event coordinator on 2 previous Berrien County GOP events, so there was no confusion about my role as a representative for the Berrien County GOP. During these text conversations, I asked about venue capacity because we were looking at the larger hall instead of the smaller basement hall that we had rented before. I received from the event coordinator the venue brochure, which did not include any prohibitions for political events. And because I had worked with the same venue coordinator twice before to rent this venue for the Berrien County GOP, there was absolutely no reason for me to consider the possibility that the event would eventually come into question. Nowhere in my text thread with the event coordinator was I asked to describe the nature of our event. However, I did mention to her that we would be having a keynote speaker and that I would need to get a check at our next meeting before I could come down and sign the contract. On April 2nd, I met with representatives of the venue to sign the contract. This meeting included the venue bar manager and a former venue officer. The venue event coordinator was not present, but apparently the venue representatives that I spoke with were authorized to facilitate the contract signing. At this meeting, I explained to the venue representatives that this event included January 6th subject matter. The venue representatives did not raise an eyebrow. Next came time for me to give the venue representatives our check. The venue cost was for $500, which is what I had been approved for by the Berrien County GOP Finance Committee. Then I was told by the venue representatives that the check would need to be for $800 because there was a $300 security deposit. I told the venue representatives that would be a problem and I would need to get authorization from the Berrien County GOP budget controller to make sure that I would not be violating any GOP rules by making the check out for more than I was authorized for. After getting authorization, I was able to make the check for $800. Now, let's take a note here. I wrote in the memo of the check, J6 event deposit. The check is also clearly labeled Berrien County GOP admin. With the check in hand, the venue representatives helped me through filling out the rest of the contract. I asked if I could get a copy of it, and I was told no, and that they would keep it. I wasn't comfortable not having a copy, so I just snapped a picture of the contract in the check so that the Berrien County GOP would have a record. During my tour of the venue space, the former venue officer volunteered to bartend at our event because I asked him about the possibility of selling alcohol. We discussed several different possibilities of how we could work together with the venue so that we could provide alcohol during our event. We did eventually abandon that idea, but the discussions around it made me feel very comfortable and welcome at that moment. And there was zero reason for me to be concerned at all that my life was about to be upside down. Regardless of the misinformation being shared on social media, these are the true facts. True fact number 1. The venue coordinator knew that I was renting for the GOP because I had worked with her twice before, and I had mentioned to her that we'd have a keynote speaker and that I had to attend a meeting in order to get the check. True fact number 2. Nowhere on the venue brochure or contract is there any provision that prohibits political events. Don't you think if the venue was really committed to not holding political events, as they claim, that there would be something in the brochure or something in their contract, or the event coordinator who rented to us twice before might have said something, or the ex-venue officer who volunteered to bartend at our J6 event might have thought better of the suggestion? True fact number 3. Personally explained in person to the venue representatives that this event would include J6 content. Is anyone from the venue willing to call me a liar? True fact number 4. The venue representatives were present and had to wait when I called the Berrien County GOP budget controller for authorization for an additional $300. True fact number 5. I wrote on the check memo field J6 event deposit. True fact number 6. The check is in big bold letters, Berrien County GOP admin. And true fact number 7, the venue cashed the check and we heard not a peep for 12 days from the time we signed the contract. Are you starting to get the picture? Do you really believe that the venue didn't know what we were doing? Is there even one shred of evidence that backs up the claim that I misled the venue? If there is, produce it. I am on here tonight to debunk these lies because I know this fake outrage is not about our event. This is about Michigan 2026. This is about the midterm elections. This is about protecting women, protecting homeowners, and protecting parents. This is about protecting Americans from the real insurrection, which is the invasion of our southern border. This is about the weaponization of the government against her own people. So what happened after the contract was signed? At the Berrien County GOP, we strive to make our events excellent. So as soon as the contract was signed, our graphics team went to work on that amazing and now famous event flyer, and our events team went into full event planning mode. We confirmed our speakers, started advertising, started selling tickets, and started engaging with other event suppliers. On April 14th, I received a text from the venue event coordinator that our event was being canceled in order to prevent the losing the organizational charter of the venue at both state and local levels. This text, coming in 12 days after the contract was signed, was cause for suspicion, especially because this was our third event at the venue, and so our team decided to fact-check the claim. Here are our findings. First, we checked the bylaws of the American Legion. The bylaws restrict what the organization can do as an organization, but does not restrict the organization from renting space to another organization that is a political organization. Next, we looked at the state level website for the venue to discover a page titled 2025 through 26. Legislative priorities that include 15 different legislative priorities and a clickable link allowing venue members to personally contact their state and federal representatives to lobby them to support one or more of these legislative priorities. Finally, we looked at the policies of the National Parent Organization and located a publication titled The Legion's Policy During Election Cycle. FAQ number 2 of the publication asks, can we use our American Legion post for a political event? The answer, When using post facilities to host any candidates, the post must remove American Legion emblems and American Legion flags to avoid any impression of endorsements. Candidates for all parties must be presented equal opportunity to use the facility on the same terms and conditions as other competing candidates. Of course, this publication policy statement is in direct conflict with the cancellation text we received from the venue event coordinator on April 14th. And because we did this research, we concluded that either we were not being told the truth, or at best, there was a misunderstanding that would soon be cleared up. Next, we looked into Michigan contract law. Michigan law lays out the damages when a seller breaches a contract with a buyer. Realizing that we were being canceled under false pretense and that the rule of law provided us protection, but also knowing that the Legion would probably not take our word for it, we decided to ask our counsel to draft a letter to the venue for the purpose of resolving the matter. On the very next day, we received word from our lawyer that the matter was concluded and a compromise had been made. To this date, the venue has not contacted us to request any modification to the agreement. Of course, as you are all aware, selected elements of the story has been leaked to social media, and several stories have been planted in local news media, apparently for the purpose of creating a public backlash against our event. It would appear that there are some persons, perhaps even within the venue, who cannot accept that this event is in actual compliance with their state and national bylaws and policies. And for all of the outrage surrounding the politicization of the venue, I believe it has become clear that the politicization was created not by the Berrien County GOP, but by a group of people, again, possibly part of or affiliated with the venue organization, that decided to make these leaks and stir up media with sensational headlines because maybe they don't like this event, or maybe because they don't like Republicans, or maybe because they got caught in a lie, or maybe because they don't even know what their own policies say. We may never know. In closing, as chair of the Berrien County GOP, I am saddened that the agitators who created the media frenzy have tried to pit the Berrien County GOP against our beloved veterans. Please know the Berrien County GOP membership includes many veterans too, and almost all of us have brothers, fathers, grandfathers, sisters, and or children who serve or have served. As Americans, we do not have to agree, but we must agree to defend one another's right to speak and peaceably assemble. This is our test. Can we all rise above our personal politics and realize that allowing political speech, even speech that we detest, keeps us all free? Good night and God bless. I'm Ashley White, chairwoman of the Berrien County GOP.